one and all, and welcome to Slapendipity, Hobos of Happy Slaptown. I am Eric, who you may call Eric, and with me is Gibby, who you may call Devin. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. You can call me Gibby. You can call me Devin. But one other thing you can call me is unemployed, kind of.
Well, kind of.
Kind of. Kind of. I turned in my resignation at work 2 days ago. I will be retiring in 4 months.
Hooray.
I was talking to my boss about it, and I was like, hey, I'm probably going to leave in October. And he was like, can I get that in writing? And I was like, well, if I give it to you in writing, then you can just accept my leaving right now, and you can basically make me not come back. And he's like, I want it in writing so I can tell corporate that we need to start the process of hiring a replacement for you. The absolute last thing I would do is kick you out right now. I need 3 months of warning to find your replacement.
Yeah,
And I was like, okay,
yeah.
I guess I am the only thing holding this building together. That's fine. I understand.
I remember when I resigned from my full-time job, I it was my first full-time job, and I was like, hey, just to let you know, like, I I am gonna quit by the end of the year or whatever. And he was like, okay, cool. I will need that in writing though, so I can also, um, you know, you send that to the higher ups and put out job applications for the position as well. And I was like, oh, okay,
That's fair, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
There was this one guy, not like at my, there's a corporate person
Mm,
who worked for my company who I did not like. Spoiler alert, terrible human being. There was this big call with like all, like the weekly like meeting call for like all the managers. So everyone in the region is on the same call and they're going over budgets and other boring nonsense. And this guy is like, "Oh, I just wanted to make an announcement to everybody. I'm putting in my 3 weeks, so at the end of this period, I'm not going to be here anymore. I just wanted to make the announcement to everybody." And like the head of the HR department was just like, "Actually, we accept your resignation right now. Bye-bye."
dang.
And just like disconnected him from the call, and like that was his last day.
What? That's wild.
And I was like, "This is the greatest thing." He's gone. I'm so happy. He got completely embarrassed in front of the entire management team.
Yeah,
Like the regional management team.
yeah, yeah. But now it won't matter to him because he doesn't work there. So,
Yeah, I'm just saying that like if you ever turn in your resignation to a company, they can literally fire back and say, "We accept it. Bye-bye."
yeah. I think for the most part that won't happen though, because like companies are keep. You know what? I take that back. I don't. Depends how desperate the place you're working at is and how scummy they are. Like, I don't know. But that's exciting for you.
Yeah.
Do you did you have any other work stories you wanted to tell, or um,
Oh God. It's gonna take a lot of time to unpack a lot of trauma. I
mm,
probably can think of like 37 things that happened this week, but right now it's like my day off and I'm just decompressing
you
from
gotta
those things that
process
happened
it.
this week.
I
You
get
know,
you. You have to process what exactly happened and understand within yourself if that was like where on the scale that falls. Is it truly important? Is not that important? How close do you want to make this to you as a human being? Which I can kind of relate because you ever go to like, I don't know, Barnes and Noble, and you end up asking an employee for help just because, like, oh, I didn't see this book. Do you have it in the back or something? And then you just start talking for like 5 minutes, and you're like, is this their job, or are they being kind of flirty with me? Because I think there's something, but it's also just their job. I won't act on it either way. But is this an ego boost for myself? Or are they just trying to get me to come back? Who
I
knows?
think working in that kind of atmosphere, I can probably tell you that if they chose to continue the conversation, they probably are just enjoying the human contact and like want it like they're there to help you, but they're also enjoying it.
Sure.
I
That
will
makes
say
it
that
sound.
there have been multiple
Mhm.
what?
Well, it just makes it sound extra depressive. Like, I have not spoken to anyone for 5 days and I hate my coworkers, and there's only one other coworker.
I don't know, like I'll go to the library and there's like the librarian that obviously loves their job and just wants to talk. Or you go to GameStop and there's the person there who just like loves talking to the customers and loves being able to talk about the things that they're interested in.
Oh, sure.
Right? Like those people exist and they're just thriving and they're happy and it's a good thing.
Hmm.
I was gonna say that sometimes I'm at work on my day off, like, it's funny we call it like civilian clothes,
Mm.
as if working there like you're in some sort of military. So like I'll be there on my day off in my civilian clothes, just like buying a movie ticket or like just being there as a customer, and people will come up and ask me questions, and I'm like, do I just walk around with the confidence of I obviously work here? Or maybe they're here enough that they see me and know that I work here. Or maybe like they watched me walk into an employee only area and walk out and they're assuming it's my day off. Like I don't know what it is about me that lets them know that I work there. And so I guess I have this fear that once I stop working there, I'll still go, obviously, local movie theater. I'm going to go see movies. I'm going to go stop in and talk to, my boss. I'm going to go stop in and talk to my friends who work there. If customers are just going to start asking me questions, and if I'm going to have the conversation with strangers who have seen me working there for 5 years and be like, actually, I left. I don't work here anymore. Sorry, I can't turn the temperature down in theater 17.
Well, you could just point them in the right direction. Like, I can't do it, but that guy can.
Go talk to that gentleman. Ask him about his cat. He'll love it.
Wolf.
I have two stories from work this week, actually, that I want to tell that are like good and happy and positive stories.
Wow. Well,
Okay, Eric, do you know what Be Real is?
yes. It's
Okay, so
the
Be Real, for our audience, for the sake of our audience, you explain it.
it's the social media app that forces you to be real by sending you a random by sending you a notification to take a picture at a random point in the day, and it'll take a picture from like the inward facing part of your phone and the outward facing part of your phone using both of those cameras. So it's like, oh my gosh, it's 6 p.m. I'm eating dinner and the world gets to see that. Isn't that quirky? And it's meant to, I guess, kind of as like a counterpoint to Instagram, where, people post these perfect pictures and videos and etc.
Yeah, I'd definitely say it seems like a counter to the fake lives that people portray on things like Instagram. Like, oh my God, my life is so glamorous. Here's an edited photo of me at the beach with the perfect camera angle. The point of Be Real is that it's just your real life. If you're in the office, when the notification goes off, you're in the office. If you're, no makeup slurping on a smoothie, then that's what you look like. And everyone gets the notification at the exact same time. Um, so like I'll get it and I'll just be at work and I'm like, hey, I'm at work, or like there've been multiple times when it happens during the recording of the podcast.
Lols.
It's less like Instagram social media and more like a Snapchat story, I would say, where you have your friends. And so you only see your friends and your friends only see you. So it's more like a Snapchat story, but it's a candid moment because it goes off at a random time. And as you said, it's both, it takes the front camera on your phone and the back camera on your phone. And so it's what you're doing and what the roll around you looks like. So I participate in this because I try to be hip and cool with the youngsters. I try to relate to my employees who are like 12 years young. Some of them are like 12 years younger than me.
Woof.
So I have one. Yeah, right. It's like, oh, I'm working with a 16-year-old. I am 12 years older than you. And we're like working in close spaces, and I have to sit here and listen to your skibbity phantom tax lingo, and I have no idea what you're saying. And then I'll accidentally like say a slang from 2016, and they won't know what it means. Like I'll say on fleek, and when I say on fleek, like I started saying that ironically, right? Like when I would say that back in the day, it would be making fun of the stupid eternally online, Vine generation. Like I was making fun of young people back when I said that.
But now it's real.
But that was 8 years ago. And they're like, that's an old person thing to say. And that's because I'm now quoting something that people 5 years older than them, but 8 years younger than me would say. And so they're like, oh, that's an old person thing to say. I'm like, no, but you don't get it. I'm still making fun of young people. So everyone at work has B-Reels. Everyone's friends with each other. So I was just at work and B-Reel went off, and I go and I look at it. And one of my employees is outside at the dumpster, and his B-Reel, the inward facing camera is his face, the outward facing camera is inside our dumpster, and there's a family of raccoons in there.
That's cute.
Well, it's cute until you think about like, oh, the dumpster man's gonna come and squish him into the dump truck. I don't know what happens to raccoons who live in dumpsters.
Why would you bring that up? That's not cute anymore.
I know it's concerning. So I'm like at work and I see this B-Reel, and so I like run outside and like they're still throwing the garbage away, and I'm like, let me see the raccoons. So I got some pictures of the raccoons, and it was a family.
Mm.
It was either a mother and two babies, or like a mother, a father, and a baby. I don't know how raccoons work, but one of them was a baby, and then the other two were normal size raccoons, and they were terrified.
Yeah, their home was picked up and being messed with.
Yeah, like the roof to their home was open, the garbage bags were tossed inside. They had to stare out at these faces looking at them, and then like everyone was taking flash photography of them. I'm sure they were just super spooked.
Bruh.
Yeah, very cute. I like raccoons. They're like cats. But I would never want to get anywhere near one.
um, if that experience with raccoons happened to a humans, we would call it aliens.
Yeah, like you're sitting in your home, your roof lifts up,
Yeah.
something bright and shiny is just staring at you. There's multiple flashes of light, and then it flies away, and your roof just falls back down.
Yep.
Yeah, aliens.
So, way to keep the stories going. And that
They're
baby,
gonna tell their raccoon friends.
yeah, that baby raccoon is traumatized. He's gonna go to raccoon school and be like, guys, this is crazy. And all his friends are gonna make fun of him.
That's assuming that he ever gets out of the dumpster and doesn't get squished.
Well, I'm sure they have to be able to leave. How else do they forage?
Yeah, but like, okay, you're sleeping there because they're nocturnal, right? So during the day, they're asleep, and the garbage truck comes, it lifts them up. They're like, oh no, the house is shaking. We better stay put where we are. It lifts up, flops upside down. They get flumped into a garbage truck, and then all the garbage they've been standing on, lands on top of them. And that's best case scenario. That's assuming it doesn't immediately, like, compact them.
I think when it flips, they will jump from it and be like, haha. Also, you could
Any
just call,
garbage men in the audience, tell us what happens when you flip a raccoon.
you could just call animal control and, avoid this scenario.
hello, animal control, there's a raccoon in our dumpster. They're going to be like, yeah, that's where they live. That's where they're supposed to be.
No, no. It's not where they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be in the woods.
The day that the newest Ninja Turtles movie came out, we were outside the theater, and there was this giant rat just walking down the sidewalk. And people were like, oh my god, it's a rat. And we're like taking pictures of it. And then it got spooked and it like ran to the wall of the building, and there was this tiny, tiny crack, and it squeezed its way into the crack, which I don't understand. Because I'm like, okay, it might be able to fit in the crack. I don't know how it's going to get back out. Because unless there's room in there for it to turn around, it's going to have to back out. It may have just like plugged that hole and gotten stuck. Anyway, we were all like, oh my god, it's Master Splinter from Ninja Turtles. And then the day Garfield came out,
No.
I was leaving the theater at like 3 in the morning, and I'm walking through the parking lot, and there's a cat. And I'm like, oh my god, it's Garfield. He's looking for his dad. And then we see the cat, and like I take a Snapchat video, and it runs over to the dumpster. And then one of the other managers who works there saw my Snapchat and was like, yeah, that cat lives in the dumpster. I'm like, what's Garfield? So now I'm like, okay, did the raccoons unseat the cat from its house? These are questions we have to ask.
So what happened is the raccoons and cats split time from the dumpster. They both pay rent, and the rat keeps an eye out for the dump truck.
So you think that like they're all buddies?
Yeah, that's the only obvious answer. What's the cat gonna do? Kill the rat?
That's what cat. Well, Garfield doesn't do that. He's too lazy to chase mice. So you think canonically Garfield and Master Splinter are friends at the movies?
I don't see why they wouldn't be.
All right, Happy Slappy Canon has been updated. Garfield and Master Splinter are friends.
There's no like raccoon based animal.
There's Rocket Raccoon.
Okay,
there's no raccoon-based
well,
animal.
No, that's one.
But like,
that's
I wouldn't put
one.
him. I wouldn't put him in the same category as like Garfield, right? Or even with rats, right? Like there's Mickey Mouse, there's Pikachu. Yeah, I do not think there's a singular raccoon character.
Yeah.
Right there, like, oh, Sly Fox is a raccoon. Oh, there's probably a family of raccoons in like Franklin the Turtle or something, but that doesn't count. I agree. There's not a singular raccoon who is the cartoon raccoon.
Yeah.
The rat-toon.
Boo.
Boo. Okay, I have a question for you, Eric.
Okay.
So this is actually not my question. This is a question from Sophie.
Okay.
We're hitting the mailbag early this section, folks. All right, so Sophie says,
Yeah.
it seems like everyone has staple clothing items that are go-to items no matter the season or weather. For me, it's a flannel shirt and Doc Martens. Devin, when you're online, you always have your hat. I don't know if you wear one when you're at work. Outside of YouTubing, I have no idea how you dress. Haha, I'm curious. So I'm just going to quickly answer and say that yes, I am wearing my hat all the time. I got a hat branded with the movie theater company I work with, so I can wear that at work. I never leave house without my hat. I am bald. I do not like being bald. I wear my hat. Besides that, because I have to get dressed up at work, like in business casual, whenever I'm not at work, I go out of my way to dress as least professionally as possible. Like if it's my day off, I am wearing a graphic tee, gym shorts, socks that don't match, and like all of that, just like loose fitting clothes on purpose. Because every other day in my life I have to wear button downs. But yes, I always wear my hat. So Eric, this question's for you. What's your go-to accessory that you always wear?
I don't have a go-to accessory.
You don't have a go-to accessory, even though I've been trying to get you to do things like wear hats or watches or anything like that for over 10 years?
Whoa, whoa! You haven't been trying to get me to wear hats for 10 years.
Just things, and your excuse every single time is I don't wear accessories.
Well, so here was my little kid logic. Um, as a child, right, naturally, if you wear an accessory that can be used against you in a fight, you get your ears pierced and you wear earrings, someone yanks on your earrings and destroys your earlobes. You wear a hat, they smack it over your face and they blind you and then they gut punch you. You wear a bracelet, they cut off your blood circulation to your arm. You wear a necklace, they strangle you. The list goes on. Then as I grew up, I realized, well, that's probably not going to happen.
Probably not gonna happen.
Probably not going to happen. You never know. Um, but I am also bald. I'm more bald than you, I would say. Um, but I'm fine being bald. Sometimes
Well, you're okay.
uh,
You are better bald. You're actually bald. I have like little wispy hairs.
well, that's
Not cool.
but that's also like if I let my hair grow out, sure, I can get wispy hair too. But I just decide to cut it because it looks better. So I don't feel the
So
need to wear hats. I could wear glasses, but my eye is so messed up that glasses won't solve anything. I could wear a watch, but I'm just not used to it. I don't wear a necklace. I have thought
you
about getting
could
my
get used
ears
to it.
pierced, but
So there's a lot of people at my work who have ears pierced, and they're like, Devin, you would look so cool with pierced ears. And I'm like, no. But they're like, you can like try it. You can just put on those clippy ones.
yes,
And I'm like, I guess.
yeah, that's what I have thought too recently. I could get clippy earrings. If I wore earrings, I'd make them like diamond shaped and have them be black.
Yeah, like classic stud earrings.
More or less.
So Sophie also says like, "Hey Eric, like I think I've only seen you on the Puffin Muffler channel. There's a FNAF playthrough which is hilarious, and I think you're in the post skit. Um, do you remember this video, Eric?"
I remember Mr. Tuttles. Let me tell you.
Oh my
I
god.
remember the high of being right because like I made fun of Mr. Tuttles and then in like the next game they made the cupcake a monster that can kill you and I was just like, let's go.
Yeah, so Eric named the community dubbed him Carl. Eric named the cupcake in FNAF Mr. Tuttles, and it was his favorite character. Have you seen the movie, right?
No.
Oh my god, you haven't seen the movie? Okay, well the cupcake kills people in the movie. So Mr.
Kills people in the
Tuttles
video
is out
game.
there doing some real damage. He kills people in the fourth video game, yeah. So yes, we did a FNAF Let's Play of FNAF 1 years and years ago. Like this must have been 2014,
2016.
2015? 2016. Let's go with our go-to answer. 2016. Um, our friend Christian, who is on the channel and who's in that video, it's not that he's scared of FNAF. It gives him such anxiety that he's like incapable of playing. Like he cannot do it.
Yeah.
So we play through the game. We have like 2 videos, and in case people don't know, Puffin Muffler is the name of our Let's Play channel from 2016. Yeah, I can't just say the phrase Puffin Muffler and have people assume people understand what I'm saying. So we have these videos, and at the end we do this skit where like it cuts to us playing the game, and then Christian's like, I gotta get up and get a soda, and he gets up and there's like a weird noise, and he looks around, and then I have this marionette puppet, and so I have it like. Christian's just walking, and then the puppet like looks around a corner and then darts across the hallway really quickly, and then Christian like opens a door and the puppet jumps out at him and like kills him. You are in the video, but I do not think that there is a a visual, like, I don't think it visually shows you, like, being attacked by the monster. So Sophie, if you watch that video, the person who got attacked was our friend Christian. He's the one who will mix classical music with video game soundtracks and then, like, Game Grumps songs. We've told many stories about him. I'm sure Eric is in videos on that channel, but he's not visually shown in that one.
Yeah, you just gotta sort through the archives a little bit.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, we were uploading videos back then, and they'd get like 7 views, and the FNAF video we put up got like 100 views instantly, and it's not good. We were recording audio. We just like put my cell phone down in between us and like used that microphone for audio. But what this
Yeah.
tells me is that I should have learned 7 years before I made my FNAF video to just make FNAF content because it's so popular. I could be a millionaire by now. That was the way to go, and I just didn't take it.
Well, live and learn. I don't think anyone could have expected FNAF to blow up like it did.
It blew up immediately, though.
Well, but it blew up immediately, but so do a lot, like one-hit wonders in terms of songs, in terms of, like, it's not uncommon, but the idea that it would, that level of, like, popularity would become sustained, I
Yeah,
think,
for 10 years.
right, yeah,
The 10-year
that's
anniversary is
crazy.
next week.
Especially, like, I remember going to Walmart years ago and being like, just walking down the aisles and being like, is that FNAF toys? They're in the kids section? What?
I was placing some sort of order on GameStop, like GameStop.com, and I needed like $3 more to push me over the edge to get free shipping. So I bought a FNAF fidget spinner
Okay.
to give to my little brother because he's significantly younger than me. And so the joke is like, haha, this stupid, funny jump scare bear game and fidget spinners, which are like things that your generation likes. I was like making fun of him by getting him this FNAF fidget spinner ironically. And then I think he broke it. But he was like, I hate FNAF. I hate fidget spinners. Get this stupid garbage away from me. But I think about that fidget spinner a lot. I'm like, wow, that might be worth something. I'm actually going to look this up right now.
Nah,
But yeah, like a 9-year-old piece of merch.
I don't think FNAF is popular. I don't think it has, like, that collector's value or anything, though, because it, you can buy all the video games digitally. And I don't think anyone's gonna
Yeah, but
care about it.
merch-wise,
But no one's gonna be like, oh my gosh, a FNAF fidget spinner. Just go on Redbubble and, do that.
but that's not legit.
Yeah. Yeah. Or don't use Redbubble. Make it yourself.
I mean, a lot of Redbubble stuff is stolen, so
Don't use Redbubble, kids.
yeah. I've been looking for an alternative to Teespring for a while because I hate the quality of Teespring.
Mm.
And people have been like, "Oh, you should use TeePublic." I'm like, "Okay." So yesterday actually, I spent like 2 or 3 hours recreating all of my designs on TeePublic, and I ordered samples. So in like 2 weeks they're going to arrive, and I will have the shirts, and if they're good enough, then I can launch my store there. But if you just search TeePublic, and maybe this is because of my search history on Google. If you search TeePublic, the sponsored ad at the top of the screen is like a couple user-created merch items. And the number one is just a picture of all the FNAF 1 animatronic designs, and below them it just says Israel.
Yes. Yes. All of the animatronics are for sale.
Yeah, and one of them is a picture of I just Googled it again. Sonic and Shadow kissing, and it says the Joe Rogan podcast. One of them is Perry the platypus, his head on like a muscular buff man body, and he's resting his head against Doofenshmirtz's Dr. Doofenshmirtz. I don't know how to say his name. The doctor from Phineas and Ferb, but he's pregnant, and it's obviously their baby. Perry and Dr. Doofenshmirtz, pregnant baby. Joe Rogan podcast, Sonic kissing, and the FNAF animatronics, but it just says Israel underneath them it looks like Mario 64 font. So that's the kind of stuff you get on TeePublic.
Okay. Woof. Woof. But you did start this off by going, maybe it's because of the things I search. So,
Oh no!
so Devin, maybe,
I swear, guys, I'm not searching any of that.
Devin, why are you? Oh no!
Why did I just like
Why did
totally
you
play
expose
myself?
yourself? Why are you looking up Doofenshmirtz Perry the Platypus?
Phineas and Ferb Mpreg.
No. I hate it here.
Let's get off this topic. Do you have any funny stories? Ha-has? Ha-ha funnies?
Well, I have a question for you that I can ask.
Okay, what is your question for me that you can ask?
When you go shopping, how much does like the label play a factor into you paying attention to it? How much do you judge a
What do you
book
mean
by its
label?
cover? Like if you're at well, I don't know, a bookstore and you're like looking around and then you look up and see a book, what attracts you to like pick up the book and like read the black back of the blurb? Is it the author's name, the cover art, the
Did you go to a
genre?
bookstore recently?
I may have gone to a bookstore recently.
I mean, I don't typically go to bookstores, and if I do,
But you can apply it to
like,
anything, right? Like
I don't walk around a bookstore and go like, oh, this one looks cool, and look at it. I go to a bookstore and be like, beeline to the Star Wars section, or I look through the manga and I'm like, oh wow, they have, wow, a premium edition of, I don't know, the first 10 issues of Attack on Titan. Wow, that's cool. I'm not going to buy that. I don't just like peruse bookstores and look for books. If there's a book I want to read, I read it. I get a lot of book recommendations from my friends, so I don't have to go out and look for new books to read.
but you don't do this with like I don't know music or like I also find if you can shopping for alcohol, right? Of like, oh my gosh, this alcohol bottle has a space whale on it and it's flying through space. That's so neat. I'm gonna pick it up and look at it.
So I guess for alcohol, because I do view it as more of a premium product and also as something that like I'm trying, right? It's not like, I don't know. I guess you could apply this to like new Oreo flavors or like cereal in the grocery store when you're a kid. Like, you do look at the whole package as an experience. And so if you're in a liquor store and you're surrounded by just a million different options, you look for the one that looks interesting or the one that like looks cool or has a nice vibe. Because if you're going to get one bottle worth, that it's going to cost you $40 and you don't know what any of them taste like, you're just going to pick the cool bottle. So like I totally I agree with you there. But I guess I'm just a boring shopper, right? Like if I'm going to Walmart, I'm buying Walmart brand. If I'm going to local grocery store chain ShopRite, I'm buying the ShopRite brand. If I'm going to Southern food giant chain Food King, I'm buying their brand. Like I don't even buy General Mills anymore. I don't even buy Jif peanut butter. I just get whatever the store brand is.
Mm, mm, mm. I think I'm like that some of the time. Um, or whatever I know to be what I think is the best that I've had. Um, but there's also different shopping trips, right? Sometimes you're like, I'm gonna go shopping so I can, pick up these groceries or I can get this specific book. But you're never like go out and just like I'm gonna walk around and I'm gonna if I see something cool and it's under $30, I'll get that thing. Otherwise, I'll
I'll
just
do
buy it.
that in the board game section of Walmart. but like that's it.
Mm. Well, so I bought a book because it had a cool cover and it looked interesting, and I flipped it over. Um, or I shouldn't say I bought the book because of that. I picked up the book because the cover was interesting and it looked cool. And then I went to read the back of the book and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it has this review." And it's like the review was something like, a great adventure, blah blah blah, with deep relationships like this other author's books. And I was like, "Wow,
Mm-hmm.
that I like that other author. I've read that other author's book, so I guess I will get this and try it out." And then that's when the person checking me out was like, "Wow, this is like such a cool. I was thinking of reading this book. That's so quirky. You should like finish it and come back and tell me what you thought of it." And blah blah blah.
So quirky. What
So
was the book?
quirky.
I will say, okay, before I ask about the book and we go into that, I will say, um, as someone who has tried to sell my book before, like to agencies, um, a lot of people when they're trying to sell books, they will compare it to other authors and other works, right? They'll be like, this book is a mixture of the whimsical adventures of Frosty the Snowman and also SpongeBob SquarePants. It's just some buddies who live in the North Pole, and this SpongeBobby character really wants to work in Santa's workshop. Right, like they'll come up with this is Frosty cross SpongeBob.
Right.
Like you sell your book by saying it's these two things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so when I say and like it gives people an idea of like the kind of audience that they can expect to want to read it,
Yeah.
or it gives them just an idea in their head on what the author was thinking when they were making it. And I get a lot of likes on Twitter when there's this thing called Pit Mad, which is like pitch madness, where you're trying to like grab the attention of agencies to pick up your book. And I get a lot of attention when I'm like, my book is a cross between Red Dawn and Nancy Drew. But no one out there, none of the agencies ever want my book because it probably sounds impossible to market. And so I shouldn't market it that way.
Mm.
But it's true. Anyway, you can continue.
No. So I might butcher the little. It's called Godori. Wait, it's either Godori's Oceans or Oceans Godori.
Is this a book or a manga?
A book. It's by
Oh,
Elaine.
okay.
Either U or V. Cho. Oh, it's
A
Oceans
novel.
Godori. Godori.
What's it about?
It's about a Korean pilot in a sci-fi setting, and they figure out their life and have to make they like get into a relationship of sorts, and they have to figure out what that means to them, and so forth and so on. I haven't
What
started reading
attracted
it
you
yet.
to
the
the book?
the cover
Like
art.
I know you said, oh, what was the cover art?
So it's a humanoid person. I've been playing too much D&D. It's a human it's a human holding like a space helmet in their hand as they're like standing on like water, and or like a puddle, like a huge puddle in the road, and they're staring at Saturn, and like Saturn is like huge in the background, and then in the distance to the left and right are these like big sci-fi cities, and then and slightly ahead of Jupiter, Saturn, uh, is a spaceship flying and birds flying, and there is a, I'm assuming, some type of like cherry blossom tree next to that as well. And then everything that is I just described is also reflected in the water that the person is standing on.
And what was the summary of this story?
I mean, the thing that sold me about it was something along the lines of like, oh, this is a fun adventure with compelling relationships that reminded me of Becky Chambers novels. And
And who's that?
Becky Chambers is a author. She's made the Monk and Robot series. I forget. That's not the like book's official name, but that's just kind of colloquially what they're called. Um, the actual books are A Psalm for the Wild Built and A Prayer for the Crown Shy, and those are a series of books. A third one's on the way, we believe. And it takes
Hmm.
place in a solar punk setting, and it's about this tea monk that travels the moon because they live on the moon and deals with existentialism, and in that process makes friends with a robot, and then the robot tries to figure out its purpose. It was a good book.
Have you started reading new book?
The one I just got, the Godori's
Yes.
Ocean's Godori, I have not.
Yes.
I've
Okay.
been too busy
Do
playing
you,
D&D.
how often? Oh my gosh, how often do you read novels?
Not very. But I figured I'd expand my horizon slightly. Look at and see a cloud. Hmm.
See like on the horizon?
Yeah, right. Like, haha. Expand my horizon so I can see a cloud.
Ha ha ha.
Thank you.
Do you think so?
Sometimes.
You just talked about this book shopping adventure. Oh lordy, you just came up with this book shopping adventure.
Yes.
What compelled you to enter into the bookstore to potentially look for a book? And did you think you would find one and read it when you entered?
So I went to a what strip mall esque thing with my friends like I don't know a week or two ago, and we stopped into a bookstore, and there was this book that had a cool cover, and I picked it up and I read the back of it, and I was like, "Huh, that's neat," and I put it back because that's not what I was there for. It was also the second book in a series, which they didn't have the first, so tragic. So then I went on to uh, the online stores, and I was like, "Is there a store near me that has these books?" And it was like, maybe we might have one." And I went, I could get out of the house. So then I drove to the bookstore, and I was like, as I, I did confirm. I ended up calling the store. Calling is so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Calling is easier.
yes, calling is everyone, and I understand it. People have anxiety or their fears or whatever. Totally get that. Not bashing it. However, at least in my family, everyone will be like, I can't call them. And I'm like, if you just call them,
Mm-hmm.
you will solve any and all confusion. And they go, nah. Or like, if we're having like pizza for dinner or something, and right, and it's like, oh, someone's got to place the order, and it's like, Eric, you call. And I'm like, okay. No one will make calls, so I have to make all of the
I will.
calls.
Yes, I also hate making phone calls.
It's so, I mean, it depends a little bit. Like if someone calls you and you're not expecting it, or like it's your destined rival, or like you have a lot of complicated feelings about that. Totally get that. But if it's just like I'm trying to get a pizza, like I don't know,
I can't even stand that.
we
I can't the calling pizza, calling doctor's office, calling anything. Hate it, hate it, hate it.
why? I mean,
There's just something so artificial about talking to someone over the phone, I guess.
Devin, I don't know how to tell you this. We're talking over the phone.
Oh, lordy. But the rules of what we're doing right now make sense because we entered into the conversation in like, okay, if we're talking about the podcast, we're going to do the podcast. Cold calling a stranger, impossible.
But
Don't want to do it.
it's not cold calling a stranger, it's calling a business to perform a
But there's a person
transaction,
on the other there's a person on the other end of the line.
right? But it's not like there is still a set of rules and stuff. It's not like you're gonna call a pizzeria and be like, "Hey, do you guys have books that I can buy? And also, like, what did you think of the football game?" Like, no, hello, I would like a pizza. They go, "What kind?" "This kind." "Okay." "Anything else?" "No." "Okay." 15 minutes. "Okay." Hang up.
I hate it. I hate it.
I find it easy, and perhaps it is a blessing. Uh,
It is. There's so many. I know someone, and I guess it's a little different. I'm not gonna give any details, but they couldn't call 911,
oof.
and I was like, well, because they were so scared of phones, and I was like, well, you kind of got to be able to do that.
Yeah, that sounds like some work needs to be done, which we all do. Um, but yeah, that's kind of extreme.
But no, not being able to talk on a phone is a very common millennial attitude, and you should feel
I'm fully aware of
proud of
that.
yourself for your ability to do so.
Thank you, and I kind of am, but I'm also just kind of flabbergasted by like I'm, I'm like I don't. It's just a phone call. I don't know.
I'm just saying, it's awkward. It's annoying. I don't like doing it.
I mean, fair enough. Like, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, you keep saying you know, but apparently you don't know, and
Laws.
you can't
Okay.
understand this pain.
No, I can empathize and sympathize, but I do not truly, fully know. No, I do not. But yeah. So anyway, I had called the bookstore to confirm.
Okay.
So as I was like, right, because they were like, "Oh, we'll put it on hold for you for 3 days," and I was like, "Wow." But I went later that day, and I was like, "Okay, cool. I know I have a book waiting for me, but like, I have never been to this bookstore before since it like renovated, and I'm just gonna walk around." So I just walked around, and then I saw the Godori's Ocean's Godori book, and I was like, "Wow, that's a fun cover." And there you go.
How how often do you go to the library?
Almost never.
Okay, I just find that I find it so interesting. Um, that like people will go to a bookstore but won't go to a library, and not you specifically. I just mean like I think to a lot of people, owning a book is its own pleasure, and more so than reading the book, which I don't necessarily understand.
I mean, I would.
Because like to
Mhm,
me,
mhm.
it's reading the book. I also like I've never bought DVDs. I've never bought Blu-rays. I don't own that kind of physical media because it's so readily available online, whether on streaming services or on the high seas.
Right.
So to me, it's like I read the book. If I want to read it again, I find it again. I don't need it to be a physical item on my bookshelf.
To I mean, I do think you're right to an extent. I do think there's, just the like, I don't want to have to find it again. I can just go to another room in my home and pick it up and read it instead of, trying to search for it, or, maybe the library got rid of it, or I don't know, whatever. you also collect Legos, and I would say it's kind of a similar thing of like, collecting, be it Legos
But
or
okay, and
books.
there are people like this who they build the Lego set and then they're done with it. You know, there's monsters like that. But like the point of a Lego set isn't, I guess the build experience is important, but the point of the set is to have it. You know, it's if it's a toy, then you play with it. If it's a display model, you display it.
Yeah, but yeah, and they can do that's what you do.
Yeah, but
But
like you don't play with a book.
you read a book.
I'm
Okay,
equating reading the
to
book
the
to
build
building the Lego
process,
set.
sure.
Yeah.
But you don't play with all Legos.
No, some of them are for display.
Right. So then you can have the reading process and the building process, and then you can display the Lego, and then you can display the book. And then when someone comes into your home and you're like, why are you displaying this book? You can be like, here's why, because I really liked it, and then blah, 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 blah.
I guess, and like there are books that I would love. Like there's usually good Lord of the Rings books, right? Like they're super high quality, and they're like got pretty gold leaf designs on them, right? Like that's cool. I understand that. I guess I just like people who are like, oh, I need the paperback copy of this Colleen Hoover book. I'm like, why?
Um, it was important to them, I suppose.
Yeah, and again, just like even people who like buy things on Blu-ray or DVD, I'm just like,
Oh, yes.
why?
I have bought two DVDs in my life. One was the first Deadpool movie, partially because I was going on like a long trip and I was like, cool, if I buy this, I can just watch a movie. Because it was like on the PlayStation like network.
Hmm.
So as long as I brought my PS Vita, I could watch it. And then I bought the DVD, The Book of Life, which is like a kid slash young adult, like coming of age story slash helping explain life and death as concepts. It was very cute, but why I did that? Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why.
I don't
I
know.
think I just did it because I was like, this was a fun movie, and maybe I'll want to watch it again, and like I'll support the movie by buying the DVD.
Yeah, there's one physical movie I've ever was excited
Mm.
about buying, and that was Avatar when it came out on Blu-ray because I wanted to experience it in the highest definition possible so I could watch it again. Because I felt like once it was out of theaters, I was never going to be able to relive the experience of
Mm.
watching it like on the big screen in 3D. And I know a lot of people who like didn't watch Avatar in theaters and they'll like watch it when it's on cable and they're like, I don't get the point. Like it wasn't that good. I don't know why everyone's freaking out about it. And I'm like, that's because you didn't watch it. If you're watching it on TV with commercials in standard definition or even like in 720 or whatever, then like you didn't watch the movie. It doesn't count. That's
Mm.
why. But besides that, yeah, I never got into buying that kind of physical media,
Yeah.
especially when because like libraries are free. I guess that's the main point.
Libraries are free. I do think I have shifted the collection slightly to book collecting. So, uh, you make that of what you will. It's just kind of nice.
I mean, you were talking a couple episodes ago about how you're like running out of space for manga collecting.
Yeah, I still got some space. I mean, so like I'm running out of shelves pretty like that's the part, but then I can just put books on top of each other because most of them are paperbacks and roughly the same size. So
True.
just double up on um, shelves, and now I have more space.
Have you ever watched Doctor Who?
No, no,
Like not a single
no.
episode.
The most I
Okay, but
know about it is back in high school when Vine first came out.
Oh Lord.
One of my friends got a pen that was like a replica beam me up Scotty
Sonic
thing.
screwdriver.
Yeah.
A sonic
Uh,
screwdriver. I have that pen.
so she was like, "Oh, we're gonna film this Vine. It's gonna be cool." And I was like, "Okay." So she took the sonic screwdriver, lifted it up, pressed it, and it did a little baby flash because it's a pen or whatever. And as she did that, she said, "Beam me up, Scotty."
Oh God.
Uh, so we made a Vine, and then I know Rose is a character, and she dies, and everyone's upset about it. And then David Tennant's the best Doctor Who, and the Doctor like dies and comes back every generation, season, whatever. And the
Eric, did the pen sound
TARDIS.
like this? Did it sound like that? Did the
I
pen sound
did
like...
Discord cut it out.
Okay, well, on my end, you can hear it because I have that pen and I'm physically holding it.
Probably though.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so Doctor Who came out at this amazing time for us because, as you just said, and this is contentious and people have their favorites, but David Tennant's the best one. And especially, even if he's not your favorite Doctor, the stories from his era, and I would include the Doctor before him as well, just because he only had like one season. Um, the stories from his character, the ongoing arcs, as you said, including Rose and her fate, are the best that the show has to offer. And those were what was playing when we were in middle school and high school, and so like the explosion in popularity of Doctor Who, I think, was at its peak at that time. And so I got very much into it, and their the go-to I don't know, catchphrase. One of the things that is often said in the show is that the TARDIS, which is the Doctor's little police phone
Blue.
booth thing that he uses for his spaceship, they say, oh, it's bigger on the inside, right?
Right.
And that's because on the outside it looks like a phone booth. On the inside it's a big spaceship because it's this weird spacey thing, and it's bigger on the inside. And so when I was in like high school, someone pointed out to me, they're like, you know, books and poetry are also bigger on the inside.
Damn.
And I'm like, that is such a good observation. That is so cool. I'm going to think about that forever.
Snaps.
And so just us, you talking about stacking books on top of each other, I'm like, each one of those books is, it's a story, and it's the story that's contained within the pages of the book, obviously. But also just the fact that you can fit a story, which is like this intangible thing, on this tiny, like, 5-inch by 4-inch square is crazy. It's crazy. And so, yeah, books always remind me of the TARDIS, or I think about Doctor Who, and I'm like, wow, the TARDIS is probably a metaphor for poetry, I guess.
or just any story, like storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many great lines. Doctor Who, it can be so pulpy and so stupid, but also so like pretentious and deep. Oh, I love it. I hate it so much.
Sounds like just a B movie, not a camp movie.
Yes, it is so campy, but it also has obviously it has charm from being campy, but then every once in a while there's like, oh yes, and this is the Doctor Who episode written by Neil Gaiman, and then it's like actually good.
Oof. I'm impressed to Neil Gaiman, but oof. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that was my tangent.
I mean, that's fair. What hmm. Hmm. I had a thought. I swear I did. But I don't now.
You can try to recall that thought while everyone else is listening to Legrand Chase.
Okay.
Okay, let's roll that song.
Hello and welcome back from that Legrand chase. I hope your calves are burning and you can enjoy the sit down you're about to have because we got a special paper airplane thrown in our direction, enchanted with a little something something, and it flew right into Devon's hat.
And I picked it right out of my hat, and then I patted my hat and thanked it for catching the paper airplane, and I unfurled it, and it looks like it's another email from Sophie.
Wow, I'm so sorry. I was just because we were just talking about books and collecting them, right? Devin, what have you been doing with the mail after we read it?
I may have been three-hole punching it and putting it into a binder for safekeeping.
Interesting. Yeah,
Why?
I just, that's the same thing now, isn't it? Kind of. Kind of.
It's kinda like a book. Kinda like a book. There are some books that are just
Yeah.
letters. I mean, I guess all books are. I guess all
This
books are
is
just
true.
letters.
This is true. Some would even say
Okay.
books are just
Okay.
ink on paper.
So, whatever. Oh my gosh. Okay. Moving. See, you always groan when I make a pun. That was probably the worst pun I've ever made, and you didn't even react.
What was your pun?
That all books are just letters,
Yeah, that's not a.
like of the alphabet.
Yeah.
That is a pun.
That's, yeah, that's why I didn't groan. I didn't think of it as a pun.
Oh my god. Because like some books are like letters back and forth between two
Yeah.
characters. It's like, July 9th.
That's
Hello,
so
Daisy. My
specific.
name is Marcus. I don't know. It just made me. There's a book that we read in second grade called Dear Mr. Henshaw, and it was by this little kid. Mr. Henshaw was like an author, and this little kid would just keep writing letters to him as a form of a diary. And so he, it's a story, it's a narrative, but it's told in the form of these letters to this third party
Right.
observer. So like some books are just letters, right? Like Dear Mr. Henshaw is literally just letters, but then all books are just letters of the alphabet. Anyway, I'm gonna read Sophie's email.
Okay.
It says, Eric, can you tell us a story about how you obtained one of your many dogs?
Oh, geez. I mean,
I think chronological order here is the best option. Tell us the story of how you got your oldest current dog.
oh, okay. I was thinking back to before I was born and had a dog. Cool. I can tell both. So because I have three, right? The second one just kind of overlaps into the first one. So for the first one, um, our previous dog had been uh dead for a while, and gone a few years without one. And again, I think I've said this on here, but like my family has always had an animal. Like I do not know what it is like to live without an animal, except for when I like go to other people's homes and they don't have any or something. So at whatever point in time, uh around 2016, I think,
Yeah,
legitimately.
no, it was.
um uh I like I don't, my dad was just looking online at dogs and he was just like, they're so cute, whoa, and just kind of like, just kind of wanted a dog, and because it had been a while, and dogs are cute and fluffy or whatever. And we were um specifically looking at a Shiba because, like, generally speak, right, the description that we got is like Shibas are independent and they're small dogs, but they have the mindset of a big dog, and so they're very loyal and protective, and but they don't need, like, they're not super needy or need a ton of pets and blah blah blah. So we were like, my dad was looking into that and he was like, "Oh wow, that's super cool. Like, hey family, what if?" Poking his index fingers together, and uh,
Like
like
tee hee
tee hee
unless,
ha
haha.
ha, unless. And my, uh, you know, everyone's a sucker for a dog or a puppy, so it kind of got agreed upon, except for me. Uh, I was like, no. So we were like, Shiba, fine. And my dad was like, great, I'm going to start looking at breeders. And I was like, no, we should go to like a pound or a shelter and adopt a dog that's been there forever or is close to dying or whatever. Like, get a dog that has had a rough life, take him in, and like give him a.
A rough life. Sorry. Sorry, continue.
I did set it up. Yeah, and then give it like a nice, year or two or however long the dog could live, right? And my parents were like, no. Uh, and I said, okay. So we went to a breeder. We picked out a puppy, and we got that puppy, and we brought him back, and uh, he was, yeah, and not like, we didn't need to like nurse him or anything. He was like, I don't know, 2 months or something, right? 3 months. He could live off of like dry food or whatever. So we had him for a few months, and like we were just like, oh my gosh, a puppy, ah, and then like a 2 months at most, my parents were like, wow, we like go to work and we don't all play with him, so it'd be good for him if he got a friend. And I went, no. And they went, no, but like, we just can't keep up playing with him, and no one can because he's a puppy, so if we got another puppy then they could get their energy out. And I was like, no. So then we got a mutt from some guy. And she was like, her previous owner abused her a bit. So I mean, it's good that we like took her away from that. Um, and so now it's 8 years later, and they're both still vibing. It is wild though to pay attention to like age, because more so on the mutt. I mean, you can both see it, but like I can see the whites and grays that like just used to be at the tips of their mouth or something, and now it's like all the way at their eyes, and I'm like, oh, you poor thing.
Yeah, they're getting old. My puppy is like 14
Yeah.
now. And she's like almost all white. She's like white with some gray when she used to be dark yellow.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, like that always happens to dogs. But she like, I don't know how to say this other than like, she's a lot older than I ever thought she would get. So
Yeah.
that's great
Yeah.
itself. I have pictures of her from 2016 when her nose first started turning white. And I'm like, oh, she's getting old. And I'm like, oh,
Oh.
that was 8 years ago.
Woof.
Yeah, wolf indeed. So I do have, I don't know if I can confidently say this will close out the episode, but I do have that second story from work that I alluded to earlier.
All right, lay it on me.
So we generally try to stay away from any upsetting topics on the show. Like, we made a conscious effort to not talk about the Trump assassination attempt last week because it was so fresh, and it was just something that we didn't feel like was something that should be talked about on our casual podcast. I think that other kinds of breaking news, even if they're important, quote unquote important, are things that can be talked about, as long as they're not like, again, like some sort of tragedy, right? Like, tragedy is something we want to avoid. This story is tangentially related to Biden dropping out of the presidential race a few days ago. So I was at work on Sunday, and I'm in the office with one of my other managers, and I get an alert on my Twitter, and I'm like, why do I have so many messages on Twitter? And I open it up, And it's like 12 minutes ago, Biden dropped out of the race. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, it's unprecedented. It's never happened before. This is a historic moment. However you feel about any of the candidates or politics in general or America in general, it's like, wow, this has never happened before. This is interesting. And so I look at my other manager and I'm like, Biden dropped out. And she's basically like, okay, who cares? And I'm like, well, it's interesting and historic. And she's like, I don't care. And I look around at all my employees who are there who are like 18. And I'm like, none of these people, like, I don't have anyone I can go to right now and talk about this happening.
Mm.
Because everyone who works there is a teenager. And the other adult in the building literally just said that she didn't care. So I'm like, oh, the manager, our head cook, our kitchen manager, he's a, you know, middle-aged man. He will probably find this interesting. And I never really talked to him. It's not that I have a bad relationship with him. I just not have like a friendly, good relationship with him. So I go in the kitchen to go and talk to him. And he's like, what? And I'm like, Biden just dropped out of the race. In a like, this is interesting, right? Kind of voice. Hoping that he'll like entertain the
Take the bait.
conversation. And take the bait. This was a mistake, Eric.
What happened?
This was a mistake. He starts going off. Now, it's not what you think. He starts going off. He's like, yeah, it's historic or interesting or whatever, but like, I'm 45 years old and I've never voted in an election before. It's all fake. It's all nonsense. The two parties are the same. Everything's just controlled by the Illuminati. And so he just starts going off about how everything in government is fake and how he's like, yeah, Biden and Trump are both controlled by the same people. None of it matters. And I'm just like, oh, I thought you were normal.
Yeah, those are some takes.
And it's not even the like the I'll say like the populist take of like, oh, everyone's in the deep state's really in control and all the parties are the same and they're just there to make their donors happy, right? Like that's a normal take. I understand that take. This guy was literally like, there is a shadow world government that controls and writes everything. Everything is scripted and these people are just puppets in their game and they know what they're doing and it doesn't make any sense to vote. Like hardcore Illuminati conspiracist.
Cool, cool, cool. I wonder how he got to that point.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't know, but he literally said, since I was 18, I have never voted.
Wild.
I'm like, okay, please don't. Please don't start.
Everyone should vote.
No, everybody, I think it is your civic duty to learn enough about the issues and the candidates to vote and then vote. But if you can't or won't do the first step, you should not do the second step.
You know, listen, you're the one that brought up politics. I'm not gonna say anything else. I'm gonna leave that there.
I just think that if you unironically believe in lizard people running the government, maybe my vote should count more than yours. I don't know.
Devin, don't you see? The lizard people are in the water.
The lizard people do live in the water, but only in Happy Slappy Town. When they can't leave the field of aura that's around our town to run the government, and we know that. And I try to explain this to conspiracy theorists. I'm like, no, there's only lizard people in Happy Slappy Town. And they're like, no, that's naive. There's also lizard people in the White House.
Do you think people see aliens and they confuse them for lizard people, right? Because if I was a raccoon in a dumpster and I just saw a face, like I wouldn't know what that like. Are those scales? Is that smooth skin? Who's to say? But my roof just got taken off, so
So raccoons definitely interact with like mice and rats and stuff. Do you think that they'll look at like a baby mouse, which is like this little pulsating naked thing, and they'll be like, wow, those weird, gross, hairless pink things that look at me in the night and take pictures of me look kind of like this baby rat, this baby mouse. Do you think that they think that humans are just big rats?
hmm. I'm gonna say a raccoon does know what a baby mouse or rat is, because like I would imagine they just like I don't what are raccoons
Or even
omnivores or
I was about to say like rats like they probably eat them, but I
yeah
don't know
that's
actually.
what I was
Do raccoons eat rats? Yes.
so yeah so they're like no that's a free meal. That's what they think when they see a
Yeah.
baby mouse or whatever. Yeah, so no, then
Yeah, but like baby I was gonna say baby raccoons are born with fur, right? Like the same way that like a dog and a cat are. But baby rats and mice, like have you seen like naked mole rats? Like that's kind of what I tried to type in baby mouse on Google. I typed in baby.
baby square.
But like yeah, baby mice are just
Yeah,
little fleshy pink blobs.
well, you know.
So like if I had only ever seen furry animals, but then I'd seen baby mice and humans, I might think that those two things are related.
Not, I think. Listen, that if we're both raccoons and you came up to me and said that, I'd be like, okay, time to get you back into the hospital, Mister.
Like, okay, Grandpa, we get it. You're talking about the little baby mice that actually
They
run the
removed
world.
your roof one time. Uh huh. Sure thing.
If we just stopped eating the mice, then maybe they would stop throwing stuff at us in our homes.
Grandpa, those aren't. How many mice have you seen get to 5 feet tall, Grandpa?
I see them all the time. They get out of their metal
Those aren't
contraptions.
mice, Grandpa. Those are the apex
The
predators.
big mice. The big mice are the apex predators. Yeah, screw lizard people in the government. I think politicians are just giant mice. They have to
They
hide
have
their.
to
This is
hide
my new
their
conspiracy theory. They
tails
have to hide their tails.
and their ears. What about because they're so
mm-hmm.
round, mouse ears.
Mm-hmm. They gotta like file them down.
Ugh, ugh. That sounds painful.
Hmm.
Woof, 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 woof. But they also have like big teeth, which is why Hollywood is so obsessed with everyone having the perfect smile.
Yeah, they have to get procedures done to get perfect white fake teeth to cover up the fact that they're
Yeah,
mice.
with like big chunky yellow teeth so they could normally chew through wood and stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, and they're specifically baby mice. Like they haven't grown their fur yet, right? Like the humans that are actually mice probably live for like thousands of years, and so they're still in their baby phase.
So are we what are we saying here that mice are like Digimon and they can take a
What are we doing
they can
here?
take a route to stay mouse or to turn human?
Yes, they're the rookie
Okay.
Digimon, and they're so advanced that they become president.
Right, right. So many people think crows and corvids are the smartest animals, but maybe it was mice all along. Oh my gosh.
Well,
Wait,
it's like an evolution thing.
was Tom and Jerry made by mice and then they just put themselves on blast as a way to throw off the scent?
It's mouse propaganda.
The mouse lore goes deep.
They're trying to get rid of cats. Yeah, mouse lore in Happy Slappy Town goes deep.
You know what else goes deep?
Well, now that we now, what else goes deep?
I don't like the. I was gonna say the hole I buried myself under the dumpster from last episode.
From last time, you're still in the dumpster juices from last episode with the
Well, that
raccoons.
explains so much now. The raccoons are above me.
That's because we're just little evolved mice. I was gonna say now that we're on the FBI watch list again for figuring out the Great Mouse Conspiracy, we should probably cut it here.
Do you remember your life as a mouse before all of this, or
No, are you saying that people who talk about their past lives are just remembering when they were mice?
maybe? You tell me, Dylan. You tell me.
Uh, I have memories of my past life, just flashes, and I
Wheat
remember being happy. I
fields.
remember being warm, surrounded by my family. And this was back in the olden times, and there were these great fields of grain, and I think I lived on a farm, and they're really just remembering being a mouse. Reincarnation is real, but it's a one-way path from mouse to human.
Devin, I think we should write a book.
I think we've been slowly creating all the lore for Happy Schlappy Town that one day a book will happen. It'll
It'll
just
just
appear.
pop into existence. Well, time to get
Okay.
running.
Well, time to get running. Let's queue up that grand chase. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.